Chapter 10, Red Orb and Melancholy. 3 days later. What should we have for dinner? I really don't want another one of those dry grain bars if I can help it. Get creative. Creative? In what sense? Look around us. I'm sure there's something we can eat. I scratch the back of my head and get up from my comfortable seat. The sunset is approaching. The powerful red orb on the horizon says so. Lorelei is relaxing in front of the fire, and that same fire reflects in her eyes. As my eyes meet hers, she smiles. Despite everything, it means the world to me that we can afford to take moments like these to relax. It's our only solace. I'm very grateful for finding this spot once again. It's the perfect hideout. We can isolate ourselves in safety out here. Even the smoke that gets trapped in the cavity of the cliff works in our favor. I feel quite safe considering how long it took us to find this place. Me too. You'd need unbelievable luck to find this without my map. And my map is right here. Lorelei pats her pocket and gives me a soft smile. It's as complete as it needs to be, isn't it? For now. I look out over the massive ocean in front of us. It's unbelievably beautiful. Circles form on the surface quite close by. Then a splash. Fish. Did you see that? I did. She giggles. She never giggles. Fish for dinner? Good luck with that. I'll be right here reading. Mean. Lorelei lies down in her crafted seat and pulls up a book. It's titled Interventions for Stress and Trauma. I pick up a stick from the ground as well as a flat stone. With these two items, one in each of my hands, I sharpen the stick into the most simple harpoon. Not that I've ever done this before, but here goes. I spend far too long trying to pierce the nimble fish with my harpoon. I'm now on the brink of starving, and I have to admit that at this point the grain bar sounds pretty appealing. Alright, fish, you win. I sit down in my seat and admire the fire. I reach for a grain bar in desperation. Got it. I unwrap it and feel the incredibly dry, boring feeling of paper. No, grain against my tongue. I look over at Lorelei, but she's no longer in her seat. She's standing at the seashore where I stood just a minute ago. Her arms are pulling something up. She turns around and gives me a full-fledged grin. The reason, of course, is that she's got a live fish on my harpoon. I throw the grain bar aside and jump out of my seat. So I will be blessed with the meal after all. You got it on your first try too, didn't you? Lorelei blushes and looks away. What if I did? I walk up to her and kiss her passionately. I whisper in her ear, "How come you're so amazing, huh?" She doesn't answer my rhetorical question. Instead, she discards the harpoon with the fish right next to the fire. Then she embraces me fully. Her features are soft in the evening light. I hold her closely for a good while. Then as we release each other from our grasps, I whisper to her in a joking tone, "Let's make something good out of this guy." I poke the harpoon with my foot. I did the hunting, so now you get to do the cooking. Can't say I wasn't expecting that. I prepare the fish with simple seasoning we found in the forest and slowly cook it over the warm coals for a good half-hour. When it turns golden brown, I pick the fish apart and try a piece of its meat. It's pretty amazing. A smoky flavor is dug into it, and it goes great with the salt and the meat's inherently flaky texture. That evening, we go to bed in our handmade seats, satisfied with the freshest food we've had in a long time. The sun hits my face. Light ocean white noise makes itself known. My eyes open. It's early morning. I stand up and stretch my arms towards the massive blue sky above me. Next, I look over at Quentin. He's peacefully asleep. I cock my head to the side and smile and observe as I observe him. So even you look adorable when you sleep. I whisper these words, but the ocean's white noise drowns them out fully. My words reach no one but myself. Just like always, I think to myself, I'm alone with my own thoughts. My one beloved trustee isn't conscious. But even if he were, I still have a ways to go before finding the right words to represent my feelings. I struggle with communication, even with him. Words come out, but they rarely fit my feelings in every respect. Sometimes I feel like the language we speak isn't meant for me. It feels like there often aren't linguistic equivalents for what I want to express. Well, I guess in that end, it's most likely just a feeling after all. But it makes me wonder about me, him, and everyone else. Are we in the right, Quentin? I feel the need to wash my face. I need to wash away whatever dirt accumulated during the night. I need to wash away the guilt of having left my only friends behind. I cup my hands together and dip them into the ocean. Cold as ice. I bring it to my face and let it run down my cheeks naturally. My pores in my skin, they contract. A burning sensation spreads across my face. I feel just a tiny bit better. I wake up to the soothing sound of water. Lorelei is crouching in front of the ocean. She's washing her face. As I admire the beautiful scene before me, she turns around as if realizing I had awoken. Morning. She gives me a smile. How did you sleep? The sun is warm, but the ground is cold. It seems I froze in my sleep because my legs are numb. Fine, all things considered. I do feel a bit cold, though. Remind me later and I'll get you another blanket. That'd be nice, thank you. And before I forget about it, here's your breakfast. She hands me some oatmeal in a self-made bowl. I gulp it down way too fast. I sigh in delight. Thanks. She skips over to me and gives me a kiss. She caresses my cheeks briefly, only to slowly slide her hands towards mine. She pulls at them with surprising force, urging me to get up. I don't object. I move around a bit. I feel a bit out of it. I often do after waking up. I miss coffee. When I look over at the elegant girl I've grown to love, I find that she is radiating energy. Some have it quite easy, don't they? How about you share some of that energy you're brimming with? No can do, mister. She smiles meekly. I need it all, you see. I was thinking I'd go for a walk, just to explore the surrounding area a bit. Before I get to say anything about her plan, she continues on. No, I won't go too far, I promise. I mean, I thought we agreed that this was the safest place to be for now. Lorelei gives off an expression of doubt. But in the end, we just smile at each other. I give her a nod, and she takes off up the stairs into the forest. The late autumn sun leaves a burning sensation on my neck. It's pleasant, so I don't mind. The morning air is cold and humid, however, and the occasional breeze makes me shiver. Nature is as calm as ever. The tranquil state of the forest has a soothing effect on me. I've known about this fact ever since I was young. I am normally never as relaxed as I am out here. Here I can be myself, and it's a liberating feeling. Thoughts spontaneously form in my head. The buzz of other people cannot interfere with the natural course of thought out here. Indeed, out here, things happen the way they should. My mind is clear. I still feel conflicted about something, however. About leaving everyone at the camp to fend for themselves, that is. I wasn't aware of the details of what Quentin had discovered, and despite the chaotic transition, I trusted him enough to simply go along with his plan. I cried for a long time as he led me through the very same forest. Sometimes he's really dependable. I'd like to think of myself as equally dependable for him, but that night, my life was turned upside down once again. Friends or not, people I could potentially get closer to, whatever you'd like to call them, really, we left. And with that, we ruined my chances. I truthfully don't know how many more times I can do this. The night we managed to find this place once again, he told me the details of what had happened. It's alarming. That I have no doubts about. What I don't know is if I would have been so quick to leave. After all, I finally had a place I could happily call home. I didn't dislike it there. Compared to how I used to live, every day at the camp was an adventure. There were people I was forced to interact with, and I didn't hate it. There's no going back now, though, and that pains me. I walk among the huge trees surrounding me. Ben was right. I, too, am able to smell the water. I follow the smell. It turns out it leads me away from the direction where Quentin awaits my return. Could it be? Far off, I hear the murmurs of water steadily flowing. I move forward with unprecedented lightness. How beautiful. The river's gentle murmur reaches my heart. I am lulled. I step closer towards the water. Tiny drops reach my face. I wipe them off as I smile to myself. The nature is alive. I feel the urge to, so I lay down on some patches of dried up grass. I take a few deep breaths and close my eyes. The stillness out here makes me feel like today's the polar opposite of the day we left the camp. I could easily fall asleep here. My mind drifts off as I bathe in the morning sun. I feel like I could cease to exist and I wouldn't mind. Vivid images are displayed before my eyes. I'm in all of them. My hair is longer too. Moreover, I look happy. My heart aches. I dream of the day where I can finally say I'm living the life in these images. For reasons unknown, my siblings also make an appearance. They're older now. Oh, how you've grown. And I wasn't there for it. A lump in my throat is forming. I want to believe this image is straight from a scene of their lives, but reality may look very different. My own gruesome experiences can attest to that. Think happy thoughts, Lorelei. You'll see them once again, and they'll know you as the kind older sister that finally returned. I dream of that day. I dream of that day. Lorelei slowly makes her way down the stairs. It's been quite a few hours since she left, which is longer than I'd like, especially since she said she wouldn't be long. She looks at peace though, so I don't have it in me to be angry at her. It makes me nervous when she strays from her plans, so waiting for her all this time wasn't exactly fun. She walks up to me and grabs my hands. I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I squeeze her hands and look at her suspiciously. You fell asleep, you say? It's true. She looked a bit wobbly as she walked down the stairs. Well, she's a klutz and I'm a worrywart, and I'm perfectly happy with these things. Hey, guess what I found? What? A river. It's really pretty. I'll show it to you sometime. In fact, it was so mesmerizing I fell asleep. Our eyes meet. Her eyes look unusually soft. This river really must have shown her something extraordinary. I dreamt. Actually, I don't know if that was really it, but I saw a future for myself. And in this future, I looked happy. She tears up just a bit, but smiles as she squeezes my hands harder. Is it a word? I hope I was in this future of yours, because I don't see myself without you when we get out of here. Love has that effect on people. It's a drug you get addicted to, but it's symbiotic. Unlike most drugs, love by itself has no harmful physiological effects on you. That's the science behind it. But to me, it undoubtedly feels more real than that. My subjective feelings for Lorelei are strong, and I believe in those feelings. It's me and her. It has got to be. We're almost at the finish line, aren't we? Almost. After today, I'm convinced. The river showed me a world I've been longing for all along. The seriousness gradually disperses, as if it had been a gas enveloping us. We spend the rest of the day making stupid jokes as we cuddle under the curved roof protecting us. Life is good, but we're heading towards great. Isn't that right, Lorelei? Before sleeping, my mind often runs on overdrive. It's both a blessing and a curse. When it's warranted, it helps me conclude things about my feelings. When it's not, well, it can be disrupting. For a while now, I've had these thoughts, or rather, I describe them as an assumption that you live your life with. For you, one might be someday I'll pass away. For me, however, that feeling is more dire. I don't know for how much longer I will live at all. Will I stay healthy for the rest of the year? Will I still be on this earth in a year or two? Or the one I feel creeping up on me disturbingly often nowadays, will I even wake up tomorrow morning? Living with an assumption of a short life is crippling, but I can't seem to shake it. It limits the scope of my life, and sometimes I see no future. Not even a dark future, just no future at all. I see nothing. The things I long for, they're distant. So distant. If I allow myself to dream for a second, I can imagine the day I finally reach something I've longed for as if it were tomorrow. But just like it could happen, it could also not. Until I see it with my own eyes, I can't bring myself to believe in such things. I don't like uncertainty. I like logic. Life is logic on a biological level. But once you scratch the surface, life itself is the most illogical thing I can think of. Billions of people, each with their individual world in their heads, each perceiving reality in their own way. We wake up one morning from voices far off in the distance. A shriek. Strained voices. Echoing. And they're all approaching. Whoever they are, they're bringing attention towards this place, and that is anything but good. I fly up out of my bedding. I feel a bit lightheaded, possibly out of shock. For other people to find this place without our guidance feels unbelievable. Did the smoke make it out of the cavity only to reveal our presence? Did we somehow make enough noise for someone to hear? Did someone trace our steps in the forest's soft floor? Whatever the real reason may be, I'm not the only one that has once again entered a state of fight or flee. Lorelei looks serious. I whisper to her, "What do we do?" Not much we can do other than hoping they don't find us. In times like these, I always hope Lorelei has a genius plan up her sleeve, because sometimes she actually does. But I guess even she wasn't prepared for this one. The chances of people finding us were slim, so she must have dismissed the possibility as astronomically low just as I had. We still don't know how far the ocean stretches up here, but considering how much effort it took us to find the end of the forest, it can't be all that wide. If you ask me, this is merely a small gulf. We have no way of knowing how this situation has developed, if it even has developed, that is. Best case scenario, the secret's barely gotten out and they all have suspicions. Worst case scenario, the camp is in ruins and chaos reigns. They may be aggressive. Or they may be looking for allies. What she's saying is that we're stuck in the same fight or flee mindset we were forced to adapt the day we left the camp. We don't know which side they'll be on. Allies or enemies. No, that's not right either. There are many sides to it. Opportunists that'll backstab you when the right moment strikes. Thieves that'll track you and rob you in your sleep. Even outlaws that'll kill you for your supplies. They're getting closer. I almost hold my breath without thinking about it, despite knowing noise of that level is indistinguishable from up on the cliff. Oh, you're here. Thank God. Down from the steps of the natural stairs, Charlotte almost tumbles down. In her arms, she's supporting a wounded Ben. Judging by how strange she looks, she currently supports the majority of his weight. He's in a seemingly bad shape. Charlotte? Lorelei rushes up to them the moment she realizes the severity of the situation. I follow her. What happened to him? He was in a fight. Then, as we fled out here, he fell. Charlotte's voice cracks and she starts to sob as she continues to force words out of her. We haven't slept for like 30 hours. I'm so tired. I grab Ben to relieve Charlotte of his weight and move him over to my bedding by the fire for closer examination. Not that we have any first aid kits or anything resembling one. Ben's shifting between consciousness and unconsciousness. His face is pale and he's sweating profusely. I don't see any visible wounds, however. Did anyone follow you? For a while, yes. But I think we lost them at some point. I don't know what I would have done if we hadn't found this place. We escaped, and we had only one place in mind. Furthermore, why did you leave us there without a word? Charlotte's sadness turns into anger and frustration and it's directed towards Lorelei. Her tone of voice conveys utmost malice. I'm really sorry, but... Charlotte cuts her off. Being sorry doesn't fucking help. Look at him. If he doesn't make it, that's on you. As if the air had suddenly gone out of her, Charlotte collapses into Lorelei's arms. Lorelei couldn't even finish explaining that I had left instructions with Emma before she passed out. Emma didn't pass along the information I gave her? My head is spinning. Is she okay? Ben's voice is coarse. I don't know. Moreover, are you okay? I wouldn't say so, you know. He forces a smile. Sleep. You're safe here. If you didn't lead anyone unwanted over here, my brain chimes in. It doesn't take many seconds before Ben is gone again. I have no way of examining him for internal injuries, but externally he seems fine, barring tiny cuts and scratches. So, real quick to chime in on this, for internal injuries, there actually are a few ways you could check. You just have to start to undress the person. You would want to look for swellings, discolorations, basically along the abdomen, and for the discolorations, they actually do come in different varieties. You have the simple bruises that can actually be like a red, a purple, a black, a blue. Those are pretty colorful. Yellowness is indicating jaundice, liver damage, and so on. That one is pretty serious, obviously, while a bruise can generally heal in time as long as it's not like a ruptured organ. And then from there, you can also track just how their insides are based on how they eat and drink. As long as they're able to do that without too much difficulty, generally their insides are in good shape. Otherwise, the other thing to watch out for is the breathing patterns. How often they breathe, whether there's difficulty in doing so, that type of thing. Just track the compression of the chest. And hopefully heart damage is a little obvious. They generally won't last that long if that were the case, but you can just monitor their pulse and see. So I'm just assuming this is more of a lack of information on Quentin's part rather than something that isn't possible. I look over at Lorelei. She has a panicked look in her eyes. Charlotte is passed out on her bedding. Our surroundings are back to absolute silence, for they are both no longer present. Moreover, midday has hit us. The sun is as strong as it'll get today. Moreover, I suddenly feel very tired myself. My vision is warping. I sit down next to Ben. Lorelei walks up to me and grasps my shoulders with one hand, my face with the other. Hey, you okay? I don't deal well with these things. Lie down. I do as she says, but the ground is hard and my bed is occupied. Breathe. Inhale slowly through your nose, then exhale through your mouth. Everything's fine. They're both fine. We're both fine. Her words are calming. I'm regaining myself. For a second, I thought I'd turn out to be the only one left conscious. That's an interesting thought. I can't help but to produce a forced smile. We tend to Charlotte and Ben the best we can during the rest of this surprisingly quiet afternoon. Whether or not we're experiencing the calm before the storm is something only time will tell. Ben occasionally wakes up and we help him stay hydrated. Charlotte is out cold, however. He looks over at her limp body during his waking moments. Please tell me she's fine. She strained herself more than she had to. All because I hurt myself. Even though I told her I was mostly fine, she went out of her way to get us here. Lorelei and I listened to Ben's panic soliloquy. I'm sorry we left you there. Both Charlotte and Ben look uncomfortable. I'm sure I do too. Charlotte's voice is coarse from having just woken up. They're avoiding eye contact as if saying we can't forgive you. Not yet. We need to talk about it, though. Because I didn't leave you without anything, and if that information didn't reach you, then... Either way, we need to sort this out. Ben suddenly fixates on me. I'll just tell the story from my point of view, then. Out of nowhere, you left without a word. We never thought you'd do that without a good reason, and if that reason was something that concerned us, naturally you would have told us, is what we thought. At first, nothing even happened. We desperately tried to understand why you'd do this to us, but truthfully, we couldn't. Mostly we were angry, but also worried, right, Charlotte? Yeah. Everyone carried on as if nothing had happened. Hell, it was as if you had never left. Then one day, things took a turn for the worse. Ben told a tale of how people revolted. They felt betrayed, probably because they had been. Paranoia and distrust set off a plethora of downward spirals. The peaceful campus we knew had turned into an outlaw battlefield where morals and laws had lost their power. Food became a resource, not a right. Safety became a luxury, not a given. Friendship became allegiances with a clear purpose. What motivated people to get up in the morning wasn't to have breakfast. It was to acquire breakfast. Now, if you were lucky, your closest neighbors had already taken off somewhere for some reason, and left their rooms in haste. Looting went on continuously during these days. No longer did respect for anything sacred exist. Naturally, as the staff of the camp were sparsely distributed as we had predicted, they weren't able to establish any sort of harmony after chaos had first set in. They jumped ship. No. The camp had turned into one so far only conjured up by nightmares. That was a fact. I didn't know what to think. You guys left, and everyone soon formed parties. Do you have any idea of the kind of panic I felt realizing I likely wouldn't be able to protect Charlotte? Ben's voice starts to waver due to anger. So, you better have a good fucking reason for this. This is on Quentin. Lorelei grabs something, fills with it, and looks away. Okay, not going to rely on her for support, I guess. The worst part is that she's right. This is on me, but I couldn't have predicted things would go this wrong. My paranoia led me to assume the worst. It always has, but to say I expect my paranoid ideas to be reality after that night is just untrue. I always knew there was a chance, but I didn't want to believe it could actually happen. When accidents happen to those close to you, sometimes, just for a second, you remember the moments leading up to that very accident. You think about the peaceful moments prior, remembering how everything was fine. Then you look at the reality in front of you, and that's when the memory of everything was fine shatters in an instant. I went to get Lorelei that night, but before doing so I made sure to leave a note for Emma. It seems you never got this note. No note, nothing. And on that note, no Emma. After you disappeared, I didn't see her once. This bothers me. Emma wouldn't deliberately fail to deliver a note of importance. I probably spooked her that night. She must have opened the note, and after being shocked at its content, she went into hiding. That's what happened. That's what must have happened. I was only capable of writing down a few words at the time. You have to understand, I was cold and in shock and my world was crumbling down around me. The note would have let you know that we went into the forest to hide and contained a hint at this being the spot we had in mind. I was hoping you'd be able to find your way in here, even without a map. After all, you're the one that found it in the first place. You and I both know that it was all chance. Anyone could have been the one to find it. But here we are, I guess. It came at a cost, though. He looks over at Charlotte with a serious look in his eyes. He's right, I have no excuses. I'm sorry. Ben sighs. Well, I have nothing more to say to you for now. He stands up and groans. Right, my leg is no good. He limps over to his bedding without looking at me. I'm going to bed. Alright, good night, Ben. That night, another surprise awaited us. We didn't see it coming. After all, we were confident in the safety of the place. We knew how inaccessible it is, but perhaps we shouldn't have blindly believed in that fact. It already surprised us once, after all. The explanation as how it came to be turned out to be yet another surprise. Nowadays, surprises seem to be a common occurrence. It's almost as if they lurk around each corner. No matter which direction we head, surprises always await us. Sadly, they often turn out to not be of the good kind. A hooded figure stands on top of the staircase. I feel my blood turn cold as I notice the new presence. Moments pass, but no words are uttered. The hooded individual merely stands up there as they look down on us. Lorelei notices the stranger too. She looks over at me. Turns out Lorelei has no plans to be as passive as I have been this far. She gets up. She grabs my homemade harpoon in a hurry. Her eyes look awfully serious. Take off your hood. And you thought I'd need a map to find this place, huh? This one sentence makes me uncomfortable in a very sudden and unexpected manner. They go on. Well, perhaps I did. To know about the map. Well, since the very beginning, we've been keeping a tight seal on anything pertaining to our operations. Thus, there was no other conclusion to draw other than the fact that I know this person. I must have told them, and I know this hooded person. And it's right here. The map is dangled before us. It's as if I could feel Lorelei's previously unfaltered resolve gradually weaken bit by bit. It was as if they know which buttons to press to throw us off our game. I need to regain my composure if I want to have this conundrum sorted out in our favor. The hooded person slowly removes the hood from their head in accordance with Lorelei's wishes. Good evening. She walks down the stairs with a faint smile on her lips. I can't tell if it's a smile of malice, or if it's the very same smile I used to have compassion for. As she approaches from the stairs, it doesn't take a genius to figure out she isn't too happy about things. Her expression scares me. It's as if a monster within her I didn't know existed had awoken. The side of her no one ever expected her to have. But I guess she's just human in the end, and we all have our inner demons. Judging by her expression, those very demons have now come out to play. So you were just going to leave me there? After everything I've done for you? She looks hurt, and there's a fire in her eyes I haven't ever seen before. As she approaches her campfire, the light reveals more information about her state. Her clothes are dirty and torn, her face dark and pale simultaneously. Her hair is disordered. Across her arms, long scratches from something that at some point dug into her skin and glow inflammatory. I feel a tight grip taking a hold of my heart. What have I done? Moreover, how did she find her way here, and what's with this map she's holding in a firm grip? You kept this location from me, and you forced my hand. Once again, she dangles the map in front of us. Yes, I stole it, then I returned it, but before doing so, I copied it. I didn't think you'd actually keep something like this from me. That one day, I could tell you had found something. I'd never seen you all so happy. I was waiting for someone to explain to me what had happened. But that never happened, as you very well know. The current state of the camp is not something anyone would ever want to witness, so why would you condemn me to this fate? Tell me. Her voice is unstable and trembles with anger. Tell me something, but truthfully, what could you possibly tell me? You left me behind. You betrayed me. Those are the facts. And now you'll suffer the consequences. Roland. Out from the dark forest behind her, a man steps. I've seen him many times before. The camp's handyman and self-proclaimed janitor. With a dark expression, he towers above her like a possessed soldier. She looks to him and whispers a stomach-sinking string of words. Get their supplies, and then we leave them here. She looks back to me with a fierce gaze. The course of cause and effect. It'll hit you as hard as you deserve. Before I know how to even react, Lorelei has grabbed her stash and she's running, fast. Go after her. Roland takes off in a dash, much like a rabid animal. I get chills running down my back because I know I'm locked down here. I can't leave the wounded Ben and Charlotte to fend for themselves once more. The one I love is being hunted by an animal, though, and I know for a fact that she's too stubborn to hand over what he wants without any questions. Don't do anything stupid, Lorelei. In times like these, I wish I knew what she was thinking. We never even got to discuss emergency plans. It's been so hectic lately. I'll have faith in her. It's Lorelei, after all. I believe in you. Do you have anything to say? Anything at all? She stares at me with an exhausted expression tinted by genuine hate. I don't even know where to begin. Meanwhile, on a field not too far away, as he charges towards her, instead of dodging his attack as one would expect, she merely stays in her place and assumes an aggressive stance. Her eyes don't close for a second. Those crystalline, ice-colored irises of hers give off a cold light in the night's sparsely lit emptiness. She slightly bends her knees and awaits his impact. The man keeps going until he's a mere inch from her. With the momentum gained from the man's charge, Lorelei quickly apprehends the man's wrist and sidesteps. She sharply presses her thumb into his wrist and twists it. A loud cracking noise followed by a scream reverberates throughout the field. With the man now temporarily disabled by pain, Lorelei starts her relentless assault. Her knee makes an impact to his face once, twice, thrice. Blood gushing from the man's face and arms is covering both their clothes at this point. He manages to get out of her grip, though. He crouches and goes for a sweeping low kick. With lightning speed, it hits Lorelei's right calf. Her relatively light body lifts from the ground. A blink of an eye later, she hits the ground and wails out in pain. The moonlight's reflecting the man's face. It has taken a downright terrifying expression. He's nothing but a rabid, bloodthirsty animal at this point. With a single leap, he's on top of her. A decently sized wave of sand whips up as a result and spreads around them. It carries an earthy smell. He's got her pinned down. Well then, since you evidently have nothing to say, Miriam, come out. I try to say something, but the words are stuck in my throat. I can't seem to speak. From behind her, Miriam makes an appearance. She appears to be in a similar state to her. They've been through hell, and it's my fault. It's my fault. Because I was selfish. Got anything to say to him, Miriam? Miriam looks at me with a dark expression. Quentin, why did you abandon me? Quentin, why are you so mean? Quentin, I hate you. Similarly to the day I saw her on those steps, the surroundings fade out as the subject of my focus's presence is strong enough to distort everything else. Miriam remains behind her, unwilling to come any closer. Her words ring out in my head. Repeatedly. It turns into a malignant mantra as it breaks me down. Ben cuts in. He still hasn't moved from his bedding, his leg likely doesn't allow for it. It's enough of a distraction to allow me to take a moment. I blink a few times in rapid succession to try to snap out of my train of thought. Emma, Miriam, I know your pain. My heart hurts and I feel a bit dizzy. Emma. I hurt Emma. My choices indirectly hurt Emma badly. It's the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. Especially when you're the one responsible. No wonder people often desperately try to find ways to not have to take responsibility. No one wants to be responsible for causing something other people are opposed to, or worse, that other people are harmed by. As social creatures, we need to feel like our decisions are supported. Emma was always a pillar of support for me since our very first interactions at the camp. Perhaps even in a motherly sense. And hurting her has caused a strong sense of repentance to squeeze my heart tightly. I don't want to believe it's real, because I don't know if I can accept the fact that I'm responsible for her poor state. I think Ben has realized the seriousness of the situation and is trying to get this solved quickly. I have a feeling he hasn't forgiven me just yet, but he's always been one to strive for peace, and now is likely not an exception. Oh, do you now? She scoffs at his words. We were left two, Charlotte and I. Hear him out, that's all I ask. I swallow. My head spins from the pressure. I look out over the waters. I desperately try to form my thoughts. I always had a plan. I didn't know what it was or how I'd go about it. I still don't, not fully. But on some level, I believe I was sent to this camp for a reason. When Lorelei turned out to be full of great ideas, I felt like I was meant to help execute them, and I did. Emma, Miriam, Ben, Charlotte, look around you. We're closer to a way out of here than we've ever been before. Something good is awaiting us just around the corner, I know it. I know I messed up and you suffered from it, but I never meant to harm any of you. You have to believe that. My voice starts to tremble. I know how this is going to end, but I can't stop it now. I understand your anger. I would be angry too. But you mustn't doubt my motives. I have nothing but love for you guys, and that's the truth. All I ever wanted was for us to get out of here and live in peace. it wouldn't all have been in vain because I met all of you. When we get out of here, I won't forget you. When we get out of here, let's do fun things together. We'll go to the beach, eat your amazing cooking, Emma, and play cards, Miriam. I am really grateful for having met you. It's more than my past life ever did for me. I did indeed mess up, and you did indeed suffer from it, and for that I am sorry. I need to take a break. I breathe deeply while trying to control my emotions. I still feel the corners of my eyes tearing up despite my efforts. Sometimes raw, honest emotion serves as the greatest truth. They all look at me intently. I glance over at their expressions. Emma isn't looking at me. She's staring out at the still water, just like me, as if entranced. Those are my true feelings. So please, don't be mad at me. Be mad at those that abandon us. Be mad at those that let this happen. I slowly walk up to Emma. Her eyes are still dark, but I approach her and I look straight into them. Her gaze is still somewhere far, far away. I take a deep breath as I'm right in front of her. Then I reach in. She doesn't move away. I put my hands on her small, soft frame. I gradually wrap my arms around her back. I embrace her. I press her limp, tiny body close to me. She makes no resistance. I whisper into her ear, "Forgive me." I hear a muted sniffle. I sense a gentle tremble. I feel two tiny palms softly dig into my back. Despite her less than stellar state, I can sense the faint scent of her orange and honey shampoo lingering as an aura in the air around her. As her facade breaks down, so do her emotions. I didn't want it to come to this either, you know. I just got so angry when you decided to leave me out of the loop. I felt so betrayed. I'm really sorry. Things have been happening so quickly lately, and somewhere along the line I lost track of my priorities. I never meant to hide things from you, nor did I want to leave you behind. I just got really scared when Daniel let out the truth about the camp. I merely pat her back softly. I console her by doing so, and myself too. I've said the words I wanted to say, and I feel as if they've reached her. I stay silent as she sniffles against my chest. I stroke her silky hair gently. I still hold her firmly. It's okay, Quentin. She sniffles against my chest. I'll survive. If you really are sorry, I'll survive. If you really mean it, hold me for a bit longer. Just for a bit longer. Then she looks up at me. Her expression is blank, as if having realized something. Oh gosh, what have I done? For a second, I wonder what she means by those words. Then I realize. Lorelei. I take off running. Before he can even throw a punch or choke her, she presses her thumbs into his eyes as hard as she can. The man's physical advantage isn't to be trifled with, though, and the fact that she's in an inferior position makes her trick not nearly as effective as it would have been had they been on even grounds. With her thumbs pressed tightly to his eyes and face, blood steadily trickling down her arms from his crushed nose as she's struggling to keep the man at bay. Some makes it onto her face and into her mouth. He screams loudly and fiercely grabs her arms that look like mere twigs in his massive fists. She needs to get out now or else she's done for. Lorelei wraps her thighs around the man's waist and starts to jolt with every fiber of her body in order to throw him off his balance. The man, partly confused by the rapid movements of Lorelei's, and partly dissociated from having her thumb stuck in his eyes, falls to the side. She quickly gets out of his grip and takes the opportunity to finish him. She puts her one fist in her other hand and focuses her entire body weight into her elbows, and lastly slams him into his animalistic facial expression. So I guess she's dropping her elbows down into his face or something? The man's face is no longer anything more than a bloody pulp. His nose must have went into his skull because it's nowhere to be seen. His body, that'd be better described as a cadaver at this point, loses its tension and falls flat alongside the ground. Lorelei's face is as blank as ever, but her breath is ragged and her eyes are telling a completely different story. She limps back into the forest while trembling horribly. I left the others at our hideout. I'm now in the forest all by myself. I went in the direction Lorelei ran with that rabid animal after her with the purpose of finding her. I saw a clear path at first, but now that the forest has gotten more dense, I don't see it at all. Quentin? She limps over to me. Her voice is nerve-wracking and makes my arm hair stand up. She's sobbing uncontrollably. I killed someone. She surrenders herself to my arms. She surrenders her responsibility. She surrenders her pain. She surrenders everything to me. This is now ours to bear, she says. This is now ours to come to terms with, she says. This is now ours to deal with, she says. This is now ours to add to our long list of mistakes, she says. And she's right. I accept your conditions. I'll help you share this pain. Her tears are soaking my shirt. I can feel her pain as if it were my own. It hurts really bad. It's okay. I'm right here. Everything will be fine. She tries to speak, but I don't let her. Shh. I pet her head. We'll get through this together. She sobs rhythmically against my chest. Wailings of a crushed soul. They course through me, the emotion they carry as well. I feel it all. One day, this will all be a mere memory, so don't you worry. She clutches my back further. It stings. We both know you did what you had to. I stroke her wet cheek. I feel calm. It's clearly a way to compensate for my other half's chaotic mental state. You will be okay. We will be okay. I accept her pain. We will face what she did together. Those are the terms. I slowly lead her back to the camp. What awaited us back at the camp, I don't feel the need to go into detail about. More unexpected tragedies, more pain. An awfully sad story was telling itself. It played on the repeat, and all you had to do was look at the spectacle to realize its extent. A part of me died when I saw it. My will to live seeped out of me in an instant. So this is how the story ends, is what went through my head. I had always wanted to create a happy future for us all. In my weakest moment, only for Lorelei and myself. But everything that happened between then and now made me realize how wrong I'd been. I should have valued the time we had together more. I was stuck in transition, though. I was trapped by Anomie. We could have been happy, all of us, together. What went wrong wasn't anyone's fault. After all, we were all shaped this way. Distrust and paranoia aren't inherent. They're taught. Children are only taught things that are needed, and we were all children of the past world. The government had attempted to reset our state to an innocent one. What they forgot to consider was the possibility of us being damaged goods. Irreparable, damaged goods. If, by chance, you can't be the change you want to see, then we aren't capable of being the change we want to see. If I'm not capable of that change, you aren't capable of that change. We aren't capable of change. Certain things are simply out of our control. There's a massive gap between saying and thinking in contrast to doing. If you believe people should change their behavior in accordance with a certain ideology, yet you yourself are having trouble adjusting no matter the reason, why would anyone else have any less trouble with said change? There was no cure for our paranoia and distrust. What had been taught couldn't be untaught. In that sense, humans remember. They remember what they need to survive, and merely being told to get along when we all carried wounds was futile. We weren't going to forget how to survive. Our old ways had already shaped who we were. Ever heard of the test where a pair of individuals are presented two options, one of which benefits them both, but to a lesser extent, one that befits only themselves, but to a greater extent? The catch is that they can't both select the more beneficial option. If they do, neither gain anything. If they both select the less beneficial option, they both gain the more benefiting option, but they have to split it. If they choose different options, the one selecting the more beneficial option gets their wish granted, and the other is left with nothing. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Yes, indeed. In the end, we all selected the more beneficial option. We all end up with nothing. I don't remember much about that night. I don't remember what we did. I don't remember what was said. But one thing was for certain. We had reached our limits. We tried to share the pain between the two of us, but we weren't strong enough. What I do remember, however, is the following morning, and the unrivaled lucidity I experienced for the first time in my life. I had reached the very truth of this world. And you're going to have to wait until next time